Jamie, you are in the trenches with agents every day, real estate agents every day. What are the top three things that you can see that's getting in their way?
Confusion, distraction, and lack of belief.
Okay. Where's the confusion?
Confusion on what's happening in the market, what's happening out there in the industry. I think there's a lot of noise out there, right? We're being pulled in different directions. So confusion on like, where do I help my clients? And then secondly, where do I help myself? How do I get through this? And having clarity in the market.
Is it really any different than any other market? It's always shifting. It's always changing.
Isn't that interesting, Joe? That's the reality. It's no different than any other market. I just think there's more noise right now and more people sharing maybe what's not working and the distractions. And therefore we feel this time's different, but this is no different than a strong seller's market where, things are moving quickly and we have all these buyers, and it's just, we're not focused maybe on what's not working as much in that case because we're just busy, right? We're active, we're doing things. But I think right now there's just this hesitation out there and people are feeling a bit lost and confused, and maybe they're not making as much money right now as they have in the past. Listings aren't selling, buyers aren't moving quickly. And because of the macro, environment and distractions, and that's what's causing people, I think, to be stuck.
I definitely agree with you on that. There are absolutely a lot of agents that are stuck. Yet there are some that are blown it out of the water. Is it a self-fulfilling prophecy that's happening with these agents?
And that's when mindset kicks in, right? If you believe it's a tough market, it will be. So I think it's, where is the opportunity within the market first for ourselves as a realtor, right? Like, where do we see this biggest opportunity? Let's find the motivated. I think this is really the key piece right now, is maybe not everybody make the move. Maybe they're upside down on the mortgage. Maybe there's, jobs, all this is going on. But as realtors, our number one, I think, opportunity right now is find people that we can help that want to buy, sell, invest in the current market that we're in. And that's our focus every day. Just focus on that.
Do you see that the top agents are getting a bigger piece of the pie as things slow down around the entire market, and the weak, I'm going to call them the weak just because they're not as strong, put it that way, agents are holding back, and the strong agents are blowing it out, and they're going to end up with a bigger share when all this rises up?
You nailed it. I think the stronger agents adapt quickly, right? So they can pivot, they can move quickly. And then secondly, what they do is they have the skill set, they have the mindset, and they can slowly start to take market share. And that's what I'm noticing right now, is they're slowly taking market share compared to the other end of the spectrum where maybe agents are struggling. They're cutting expenses, they're cutting marketing, they're cutting coaching. So as a result, they're slowly weeding themselves out of being in the game. And then the stronger agents are slowly chipping away and taking that market share. So what'll happen is when things finally, the pendulum swings back, they have a larger piece of the market and a much bigger market share.
Yeah, absolutely. So the second one you mentioned is distraction. I mean, there's always distractions in this business. I have a friend, Tyler Elstrom, who is the ADHD coach for real estate agents, and 50% of real estate agents are considered to have ADHD against 30% or so in the the rest of the population. So
I've never been diagnosed, Joe, but I have a strong suspicion.
Yeah, same here. What's the distraction?
Clarity, lack of it. I was talking to a top agent this morning, actually, and she said, right now, I am overwhelmed. I have all these things that I know I should be doing, or I'm feeling behind on. I'm at work. Guilty with my family. I'm guilty. I should be at work. So the distraction I feel comes from lack of focus, lack of clarity. So if you knew exactly what your priority was, and just like the next 90 days, setting an intention, what is your target for 90 days? And then start saying no to things. I know my pattern is I'm shiny object syndrome. I'm always getting ideas and I get caught in that loop. And that's where that distraction shows up. So when I can take a step back, and that's why having a great mentor, a great partner, an accountability person in your life, coach, whomever is going to help you stay between the lines. That's my challenge. I suffer with it as well because there's so many ways to do things. Yet when I can stay focused and just get really clear on what are the activities I need to do today.
Yeah.
And I think as a realtor, like, what is the number one activity a realtor should be doing every day?
Prospect, talking to people.
Lead generate, right? Connect with your network. And Joe, I've been in the industry now coming up to 40 years, and it's been a constant struggle, I think, for my network, people that I know. Early in my career, I suffered with it until I realized, like, I just have to connect with my network.
That's right.
So how do you connect with your people every single day? And if we just get in the connection game instead of lead generating, because I think agents today struggle with the whole concept of lead generation. Years ago when I started, there was no choice, right? That's what we did. So however you choose to do it, but connect with your network because that's it. People already know, like, and trust you. If we're not talking to them, somebody else will be. And then we wonder why, it's been 9 months, 10 months, a year since we talked to somebody. And then we see a for sale sign on the lawn because we didn't connect.
Right. No, absolutely. Voice to voice and face to face is going to make you the money.
Yep.
The word no and how powerful that is to people that use it judiciously. And it can really, really help somebody stay focused on what they need to and locking that door or, mentally locking the door, keeping people out, saying no to any of those distractions and really focusing is huge. And not volunteering for too much too. People tend to want to help others and they'll be standing on ladders helping out somebody, one of their friends, when one slip and fall, that's the end of their career or more. And they'd be much more productive if they're in front of more than one person. Or instead of cleaning the gutters, let's go talk to somebody, get face to face.
Yeah. I had a coach, Joe, I had a great coach years ago who said to me, every time you say yes to somebody, you say no to yourself. Because I'm a high I personality, right? So people pleaser. So I'm always saying yes to everyone. And that when he said that to me, it really caused me to think, because saying yes to everyone, what that did is it meant I was working 7 days a week. I never had enough time in the day, working 10, 12, 14, 18 hours a day, always feeling behind. So when I shifted that and got clear on what are my top priorities, what's my focus for the next 90 days, like just that clear. And then I said no to everything that wasn't in alignment to me achieving what my targets were and my focus was in those 90 days. And I just put it on the side, like not right now, right? And just you create a list, and a lot of times you never come back to it because there's going to be something else down the road. So I think that focus and that clarity is really what helped change the direction of my life many years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And the third thing you said was, they didn't say mindset. It was,
I think it's attached to mindset, just clarity of the market right now and what's possible, and belief, maybe belief.
the belief was it. That they don't believe in themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's foundational, right? Like I always encourage my clients, we need one of three things to happen to achieve any goal we set. Is number one is make a decision. That's what you're desiring. That's what your intention is. That's what you choose to pursue. So you decide on what you want. The second thing is believe. We have to have a deep-rooted 100% belief. Not only is it possible, I'm going to achieve it. And in there is doubt, right? If doubt shows up, then doubt's going to take us off track and it gets us caught in that negative loop in our mind, right? And once we can believe in ourselves and we look at past experiences where we've had success in the past, others around us, again, can help reinforce that it's possible and have that deep rooted as a mindset and a belief, and you act as if that's your reality. We always say live from the goal, not to it. So you basically embody that sensation that I'm this person, I'm being this person. Everything starts to get attracted to us. And we just have to honor and maintain that. So when doubt shows up or we don't get the listing, or a buyer buys another property, all that is just fluidity of our mindset and our market. We're just going to keep believing, even when you don't know and see how it's going to happen. Yeah. We've all had those phone calls, right? Where somebody calls out of the blue. I call it the out of the blue moments, right? Out of the blue, somebody you've never met or talked to is like, yeah, Joe referred me to you, said, I got to talk to you to sell my house. That's evidence that when you hold and maintain that belief, everything shows up for you.
Yeah. And a lot of people think that it's just them having these negative thoughts and beating themselves up and having that self-doubt, having that imposter syndrome. It's everybody at every level. I found that out with, talking to the agents and coaching agents and talking to peers who are smart enough to open up and share. And there's some people that I consider iconic and they're going through the same things.
Yeah, so we all do. We hit ceilings, right? We hit our ceiling of achievement. So you're confident to get to that level. How to get to the next level, then doubt shows up.
Yeah.
So I think when we understand the process and we really do know everyone's going through it just at different elevations, different frequencies, I like to say. So we're all the same. We're human beings. Everyone has their doubts, insecurities that show up in life, right? Lack of confidence. But when we can circle back and look at where we've been successful in life and just anchor that into our being, like I've done it once, I can do it again. If they can do it, I can do it. And then circle yourself with that reinforcement, the right network, the right environment, the right support system. That builds the belief when you're having those off days. But it is universal. Like everyone's suffering with it until they can break through it to that next level.
The big word you just said is support system. Can't do this alone. You can't do any entrepreneurial effort by yourself without having somebody around you supporting you and keeping you focused and positive. It's a challenge.
Yeah, for years I did it on my own. I didn't ask for help. I figured, you know what, I'm going to do it myself. And as a result of that, I just kept banging my head off the ceiling. And the minute I opened up and I put ego, because I know for me, ego was there. As soon as I put ego aside and realized like all I have to do is ask for help, and like-minded people want to help and support you.
Yeah. I did the same thing. Offices in 3 states. It was my company, and got to a point after probably into the 3rd year, I was the smartest person in the room, and that was a problem.
Right?
So I brought the team over to another brokerage. I surrounded myself with some of the best in that market, and my business took off. It was
Yep.
great.
Yep. Put yourself in environments where people are doing more than you are, being more, right? Living at a different success level, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And it just brings perspective. They see things different. They're going to shorten your timeline to success. That's what I discovered. I'm banging my head, grinding. The minute I opened up and was willing to ask for help and be open-minded, you realize it just shortened the success path, right? I'm going to get there faster because there was no competition. That's what I come to realize. Like I look in the mirror every day. That's the only thing I have to worry about. Everything else is a distraction. If they can do it, I can do it. So I have that mindset. And I think shiny object syndrome today we live in, or the world we live in, you know, everyone's looking at what everyone else is doing. And if we just look at ourselves, how do I get better today? What's the one thing I can do different today that's going to help me step forward, find a mentor support system, ask for their feedback? You literally can collapse time.
Yeah. So Jamie, why don't you explain, Jamie Purvis here, fellow former Keller Williams for a little bit. You were there way longer than I was. Why don't you give us a bit about your background and what you're doing now?
Absolutely. I've been in the business, in the real estate industry, almost 40 years now, coming up to 40, 39 in a bit. And I was a top producing agent for 23 and a half years. Got to a point where I wasn't feeling fulfilled anymore. So I stepped into a leadership opportunity and became a team leader, helped recruit agents, grew a couple offices, and became very successful in that role. Grew #1 office in Canada for 3 years in a row. And in that journey, I discovered this passion that I had, which I knew was coaching, and made the decision to walk away from that, sold shares that I had in a few companies, and pursued this dream that I had deep down within that was supporting realtors, supporting business owners, building and growing and helping them have the courage to become the best they can be. And on that journey, Joe, I'll tell you the best thing that's happened is my business partner is my daughter.
Yes.
And when I started this path, I did not see that. I was coaching her in a program, and this evolution where we decided that we want to work together to help people change their lives. And that's really what the Be Do Have movement is. It's a company around personal growth and development tied in holistic with business. So how do we basically help people have the courage to become the best they can be, and together we can change the world? That's our platform.
Fantastic. You're doing some good work.
Appreciate it.
One of the things you had said when you were in production and you did not feel fulfilled, you got into leadership. Do you feel that everybody has some kind of calling where it's them, that's their path, their road, whether it's doing production or not, whatever it is, that's going to drive them, and too often people don't have the confidence to jump in and do it.
You know, that's leadership. That's the leadership piece you just mentioned. We were just doing a couple workshops recently, and we were talking about, do you see yourself as a leader? And I've always seen myself as a leader. Like I've played sports and I was always the captain, assistant captain. So others saw me as a leader, I think long before I saw myself as a leader. Yet now I see everybody as a leader because we're all trying to figure out life, right? We're leading ourselves through life. So if we can do it for ourselves, then how do we help our clients do it? So I think my biggest opportunity came when I transitioned from real estate sales and having a team and stepping into leadership, was really developing and working on myself to become the best leader I could be. And that's a journey, and it never ends. Like I'm every day, I read every day, I'm listening to podcasts, always immersing my mind into how do I become a better leader? Because Joe, I don't know, you talk to a lot of realtors, right? And I feel this is missing in the real estate space. I feel it's missing in the world. Like everyone's looking for leadership right now.
Yeah. There are a lot of posers out there too, who are, that you talked about distractions and shiny pennies. There are so many people out there that are claiming to be leaders, when I think leadership, like you were saying, comes from within. It's not an act. You can't go and become a leader it's not a job. It's something that is you. It's part of you. It's what attracts those other people. You're not dictating to be a leader. It's not a leader. You have followers because of what you're doing and who you are and where you're going, and they want to be part of that. I mean, there definitely are some strong, really good leaders in this industry, yet not strong enough there where their intentions are sometimes too selfish, where it's monetary and all they really care about is building their bank account. It's false prophecy to a degree.
It's that authentic leadership, right? Like there's positional leadership. There's people that tell you they're a leader. A
That's
leader,
some say it.
right?
Authentic
Authentic
leadership.
leadership, right?
Yeah.
A great leader doesn't have to tell you they're a great leader. They just do it. They embody it, right? It's like you watch. I think today, especially, people are very aware. We're very intuitive, right? You know if somebody's trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Like I call it the BS indicator, right? Like you can smell the BS. You know, we've all been around long enough. It's everywhere. Yet if somebody's being authentic and you watch what they do and how they speak and what they say and who they're being, that's the leader I want to follow.
Right.
And as a result of that, if I live my life that way, just being that every day for myself first, it transfers into everything. And then people are attracted to that. That's what I'm finding right now, especially right now. It's just people are reaching out to me and there's something that they've connected with. They've maybe heard me speak. They've watched a video, being on, this opportunity, Joe. I appreciate this. Being on a podcast with you is just sharing our word, right? You're sharing your word. I'm sharing my word. People are going to resonate with that and they're going to be attracted to that. And that's that authentic leadership. I don't feel you can't fake that. That's real or it's not.
Not for long anyway.
No, it always surfaces, right?
Yeah.
Like after a while, they just watch and see what somebody does behind closed doors, right? Or you see, it can't go forever. It's going to fall apart.
Absolutely. So we talk about coaching. You're a coach. I coach. There's a huge conversation, or many times conversation between what is coaching versus what is training. And I watched your show the other day. It was fantastic. It was a 2-hour event that you did. And I'm a big fan, and I was actually coached by Mike Staver. And that is real coaching when you're asking those questions and digging in. How do you get that across to your clients and brokerages that you speak to and get in front of?
What you just mentioned is so true, right? There's training. So it's the application of the tools, right? How do you do the listing presentation? How do you do the buyer presentation? Like the specifics. That's training. Coaching leadership, I believe, is helping influence people, helping them think different, change their thinking. And often I integrate both together, and great coaches, great leaders ask great thought-provoking questions. So my number one job is to ask somebody questions that's going to cause them to pivot and think and pause so they can change direction in their direction. So, they're going to move forward based on what they want. So that's what I feel coaching is. Coaching is, I'm going to cause you to look at what you're saying, what you're doing, and question, is that in alignment to what you say you want?
When you ask that question and the person's face changes and they just go quiet, you asked the
right. You've experienced it. So yeah, now they're going to think different. And I feel that's our job as a coach.
Yeah.
I've learned this as well. When you ask a great question, and often it's a pattern interrupt, right? We have to interrupt their pattern, their beliefs, their thoughts, what they think is reality. We ask a great question, it causes people to pause. And like you said, their face just sort of stops. And then they'll say, that's a good question, or that's a great question. So now you're causing thinking to shift. And I believe that's what coaching is.
It's a lot of fun too. It's very gratifying for the coach from our side of the table to be able to see that change and get that emotion. Sometimes it gets hard because you're hitting. If you're doing it, if there's some real issues and you're getting there, it can get emotional, and it's hard to watch. It's hard to be there. It's a little uncomfortable.
And when you and I and other coaches connect with somebody at an emotional level, that's when you're going to have a life impact. You're causing them to think.
Let's take that to the agent's perspective and their clients.
Exactly.
Right? So many agents, including myself in the previous life, to when I was selling, to a degree, I was all excited about my marketing plan and all that great stuff that I did. That is, I don't even know if it's secondary. It's all about connecting with the people that you're in front of and getting their feelings out, empathizing with them, getting them emotional, make sure that they understand, you understand what they're about, what they're doing. That's a talent for agents that I don't think many people are helping them acquire.
It's a journey too, right, Joe? When you first come in, yes, you need the listing presentation. Like I built all that up over time. So you've got all the tools. At the end of my career, my listing appointment was a sheet of yellow paper and a pen. I brought everything. I put it on the desk. There'd be 2-3 inches of stuff on the desk. And here was my question. The first question I asked, so I'm sitting in front of a seller. The first question I asked them is, how can I convince you not to sell your property?
Wow.
And what that did, talk about pattern interrupt. Like I just watched you, right? Like your mind goes to like, and it's causing them to now think of me different. But I'm asking them a question that I know nobody else asked that, right? So I just separated myself as a realtor from everyone else. And what it would do is it opened up the real motivation, what was going on. And they would say like, why would you ask that question? I called you to sell. I understand that. How can I convince you to keep the property? Because I believe in the value of owning real estate, right? And it just opened up that conversation. And Joe, you just nailed it. Like you're causing people to now think different. And now it opens a dialogue. Like, why are you there? What's behind the surface? It's not just price. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. What's the true motivation? When we get clear on that motivation, we're inspiring their thoughts, their process forward. So they're going to make the best decision for themselves, which could be sell the house, maybe not sell it, maybe keep it and pull out equity, buy another one. Like, who knows what it is, but it just helped me connect with them so they can make the best decision.
And the job of the realtor is to get them to their goal. And whatever that is, whether it's to move, to downsize, to liquidate, whatever that goal is, and selling the house or buying the house is one piece of that. That's the job, is to get them to the end and get them to where they want to go.
Yeah. And as a great realtor, if we could pull ourselves and not be attached to the outcome, just like great coaches, right, Joe? We're not attached to the outcome. Now, to do that and be that and live that might be two different things, because maybe, you haven't sold the house for a few months and all of a sudden you're feeling the financial pressure. So we get caught up in that attachment to, I need this sale, which then what happens? Commission breath, right? Realtors know that. It's all about commission. And now people feel that. And now that actually pushes business away versus not being attached. I'm just here to understand what's going on so I can advise you as a real consultant. That changed my real estate industry. It changed when I was recruiting realtors, and it's empowered us as we're building our business as well. Just finding what is it that is the drive that the person I'm sitting in front of has deep down.
Let's jump into, you mentioned recruiting. Let's jump into that for a second or more. Yeah, there's so much of that going on. It's a constant struggle for agents. They don't want to pick up the phone often because they know it's often going to be somebody calling them to try to recruit them. Having done that for so long, I as well, and I have my opinions. I'd love to hear what your viewpoint of that is to the health of the agent, the health and the benefit to the agent and the industry when one recruiter is just trying to bring that person in. Do you see a disconnect there sometimes?
Yeah, I think it's no different than you're making cold calls and just not connecting.
Yeah.
Right. And I built my business cold calls. I tracked my career, like over 75,000 cold calls. If you're just calling for the sake of calling and there's no connection, then you're going to grind yourself down to exhaustion, right?
Sure.
When I connected with realtors and I grew recruiting, I recruited on the phone, same way I did when I was calling for listings. It was all about finding a way to connect with somebody where I could have a conversation where maybe there was another opportunity. Maybe you wanted to change your current results. Don't change companies, stay where you are. Because, when I was recruiting, the first thing that people say, right? I'm happy where I am. Of course, I know you're happy or you wouldn't be there. So why don't we just have a conversation about your business? And I recruited by helping realtors build their business, and they weren't even at my company.
Yeah.
So what I did is I helped them so that when the opportunity felt right, my phone started to ring. So I led with value, and my value was, I'm going to help you in your business. And I think that's the biggest opportunity right now. Like if you're at your company, who right now is helping you build and grow your business? And if there's nobody, that's where the door opens, where somebody might be able to knock on the door and invite an opportunity to help somebody grow their business. Because I think that's the way to recruit. I look at all the opportunities right now. I know in Toronto where we are, there's so many real estate companies now, and there isn't many connecting. I know a lot of realtors that are getting ready to leave the companies they're at, and nobody knows they're ready to leave because they're not feeling connected. There's no support. So if we're not getting the support, then what do we do, Joe? We go where it's cheapest.
Typically. And that's a huge driver, and it's not necessarily the best thing for the agents, for sure. So I've been consulting with agents and put together an assessment to help them understand their strengths and what they may or may not have at their brokerage. And like you, there are some that they should stay there. They should not move. Maybe get a coach or get somebody to help you, or partner within the firm to have some accountability with. And then there are others where they're just where they are just doesn't have it for them, and legitimately doesn't have what they need. And that has been so fulfilling to be able to say, okay, I know where you can go. Let me help you get in there and bring them to the door. And it's really fulfilling when it works. And so far it's working really well. There's too many times when an agent disrupts their business pattern. And I don't care how good the onboarding is for a firm, there's going to be a little disruption. There's going to be a
Oh,
dip,
always. Yeah.
right? So they're taking a dip. The firm's taking the rest. They're pouring resources to the agent, money, time. And if it's not the right fit, everybody loses. So they kind of shrink that gap and get people more tuned into where they really should be has been a lot of fun.
That must be very fulfilling for you, right? Because you're connecting people where they should be and they know they should be there, right?
Yeah.
So helping them see that, maybe, interrupting what's going on in their life at that moment in time. I think most people know if they're happy or not, or they're getting what they need, right? In that current situation, sometimes you outgrow your brokerage. When I left my first company, like in all my years selling, I was at 2 companies. I had 2 awesome people, leaders to support me. So I was in 2 places. I also knew I had to take responsibility. So my business growth, I took responsibility for. So I didn't put that on anyone else. So I was always educating myself and hiring my own coaches along the way. Yet I had 2 great leaders that guided me. And I left the first company because I outgrew his leadership. He was great to get me to here. Ultimately, I decided to pursue what I'm doing now because it was selfish what I wanted to do for my life. And I knew I needed to make that transition. It was never about I left the company because it was because I wanted a bigger and better life, pursuing my dreams, hopes. And I think that's what we do as coaches.
Well, let's talk about that leap, or that, I don't know if it was a leap. It's a change. What
Mhm.
was your mindset like when you did that? I know it's exciting. Give us the real
Yeah.
going on.
I came home one day, Joe, and I said to my wife, I'm done. I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And I'd done it a few times. When I left sales and went into leadership, I knew it was time to move.
Yeah.
When I left the company and decided to follow my dream, I knew it was time to move. So I lost the loving feeling, which means if I'm not in 100%, I'm not in. So I knew it was time to go. I left a great opportunity. I was making great money. I was partnering in a number of companies. So from the outside, it was a crazy move because I went from that to 0. I had no clients. I had nothing lined up, but I had the faith and confidence in myself. And I knew years in life and living, following my dream, I knew I had the ability to do it. And it really wasn't scary. Like, people have always asked, like, how do you do that? And it wasn't scary. And it wasn't because it was the right thing for me. I intuitively knew that. So I had the confidence. And that, I think, is a big part of that belief in yourself, right? I had the belief in myself. I knew I was good at it because it's what I was doing in the role of being a team leader and a recruiter. I was doing this every day. So the more I did it, the more I realized this was bigger than just real estate. And when I left the real estate industry, now I coach realtors, obviously teams within the real estate space, but I coach entrepreneurs. I coach business owners outside of real estate because
Yeah.
they're going through the same thing.
Yeah,
Because we're all human beings.
it's a great crossover too. I've found I'm an insurance agent, an attorney.
All of
It,
it.
yeah, it's all the fundamentals of building a real estate business cover many others. It's really just fundamental business building. It's
Yeah.
really interesting. I didn't think of that until I got into it, and then it switched.
And, Joe, I've come to realize I don't need to know what the industry people are in, how it works, because I make the assumption they know. The question is, are you doing what you know?
Right.
And if not, then what's stopping us, right? And then it goes back to it's our belief systems, it's our thoughts, what's possible, our habits. Ultimately, all that's stopping us. So I can bring that perspective no matter what industry you're in, because like I said, I make the assumption you know what you should be doing. The question is, are you doing it? And if you're not doing it, there's the opportunity.
Yeah.
And that becomes the conversation.
Yeah. Thank goodness for that, because I'd have to become an immigration attorney, and I wouldn't want to do that. That'd be problematic.
I love cutting grass. So I guess that would be my next step.
There you go.
A landscaper.
Hey, tell us about the program that you have. 70 was 775K in 90
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. We created a program. It's called the Repeatable Revenue Roadmap, and it's designed to help embed and embody the process that you can generate $75,000 in revenue every 90 days. So creating that into your business. So whether you're an agent doing 50,000, 100,000, you want to get to 300,000 a year, that's what the program's designed to do. So let's build out a plan. We have 12 modules, step-by-step journey, and we coach you along the way to help you embody and put into practice these strategies that you may already be doing. Maybe you could do them different. Maybe we can add value to it. Ultimately building a repeatable business. So every 90 days, you're earning 75,000 in revenue. And it's the system of it. That's the key. Systematic process.
How does that work across the different markets when price points are all over the place?
Obviously, in some markets, you can have more sales than others. So maybe it's not the 75,000, maybe it's 50,000 to start. Yet in every market are there higher price properties. So maybe we get stuck selling at, an average of 100,000, 300, 500, whatever that is based on the market. Are there higher price properties? So maybe we change our thinking around the properties I want to serve. And all of a sudden you can double your income as a realtor by doubling your sale price. We don't have to work more. Maybe you just have to change our perspective and become an agent who's going to be a luxury agent instead of an agent that's brand new. Because when I was brand new, I worked with first-time buyers, right? So within the market, there's markets within a market. Maybe you work with developers. Maybe we don't just sell one at a time. Maybe we sell strips of land. Like there's so many ways to do it. And I had that question asked recently where somebody said, oh, my average price is 100,000. So for me to do this, it would take forever. I said, well, if you could do it in your market, how would you do it? And they started to tell me how they could make more money in their existing market. And that's what makes it very unique, because if we can change this, what we even think is possible first, it's not the doing, it's the being, right? And that's why we named our company Be Do Have. We have to become more first. The doing is easy.
Right.
Let's start thinking and changing our thinking first.
That's a process for some. Is it possible for everybody to do that? Or are there some people that are not coachable?
If you're not coachable, then you know what? You're on the right path.
There you go. I like that answer.
Like I had somebody asked me recently, like, how do I know when it's the right time to hire a coach? I said, when you're feeling stuck, when you're and you're at your ceiling, you want the next level. If you're 100% happy where you are and everything's awesome, do you need a coach? Unless maybe we could do the same income in half the time. So how do you do that? Right. So my mindset is like, I've got 4 coaches in my life. All professionals have coaches. Look at sports. Like all sports athletes have coaches built into the system. All top professionals that I see, that I follow, that I'm being mentored by, whether I'm listening to recordings or reading books, they have coaches in their life. So they need somebody to bring a different perspective. If you think you've got it all figured out, you're right. You're on the right path. I'm not going to convince anybody that it's time to get to the next level. If you don't think so and you're good, I'm good.
And that's, that's the thing about coaching. It's you're not telling them how to do anything. You're pulling it out of them.
They'd already know. It's inside. It's inside. And they know it's inside. And when I was grinding and doing it on my own, Joe, and not asking for help, my ego was big, and that's what kept me stuck. The minute I learned to realize, okay, let's put him aside for a minute and let's figure out, is there a different, better way? The minute I did that, my world opened up. I believe everybody can do better than they're doing.
So you're fortunate to be able to say, okay, I'm done with this. Now it's time. So if I had the right coach, I actually hired a coach, and then for that purpose, and then life changed a little bit and everything went well for a long time. Yet I didn't realize I still wasn't fulfilled. And it took another 3 years to figure that out, because I didn't know. I just didn't know. I just knew I wasn't happy.
It's interesting, right? When you have that feeling, like it's inside like if I'm busy, it's sort of there, but you don't think about it. It's in those quiet moments when things slow down that it sort of percolates, and then you get busy. So we suppress it. So I did that as well. And then ultimately you just get to a point, I think age has a lot to do with it, right? I just turned 60. So I'm at a point in life, like I don't have 40 years in front of me anymore, like I did when I was 20. So my goal now is getting clear on what I want. This is why it gets really easy, getting really present in what I'm doing every day, making sure I'm in alignment with the right people, because this has to be fun. It has to be energetic. I have to be working with people that have the right attitude, that are grateful, that are happy, like embody people that have the same values. I'm not the the coach is going to come with a stick. Why didn't you do the calls? Like, that's not me. Like, motivation comes from within. I want to be inspired, and that's what I do, and I'm very clear on it. And as a result of that, we attract people that see value in that are attached to that, or want to be on that journey together.
Right. Yeah. And these kinds of conversations that we're having right now, and others, there are other podcasters out there, there are other leaders out there that are having these conversations and bringing the reality of the mindset and the struggles that we put upon ourselves, that it's normal and you can break through it if you have the right people around you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what, Jim, I'm going to have to pull this, end this for a little bit. I got another podcast coming up in a little bit, another guest coming in, and would love to hear, how can people reach you? And when they do, what can they expect?
Yeah. I think the first thing is obviously social channels, Instagram at Be2Have Movement. I'm on LinkedIn. That's my number one platform. So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. And the first thing you can do is book a 15-minute growth call, gap call. Let's figure out where you are. So that would be the first step. And the second step is we do have an income assessment. You can access that on LinkedIn. And it's a 10-question self-assessment based on our repeatable revenue roadmap program. 10 questions. You can assess where you are, where the gaps might be. Once you've done that, you can book a call and we'll have a conversation, figure out if there's a way to help you in what you're currently doing right now to get to that next level. That'd be the best way.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And I'll put your links down below. And
Awesome.
Jamie, it's been fantastic. For you who's watching, please subscribe, comment. This has been some great stuff. Be your best. Have fun.
Be well. And Joe, keep doing what you're doing. Awesome leadership. You know what you're
Thanks so
doing
much.
and bringing so much value to the real estate industry. Just keep following that light, and you know what? You're changing lives, buddy. So I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm on it. Take care.